One of my New Year's resolutions was to try to get all my stains and varnishes into something a little easier to deal with than these cans. I find that after I open them and close them a few times, even if I'm very careful about cleaning out the groove in there with a Q-tip or paper towel, it seems like they get stuck in there after a while, and I'm really boogering up the rims, and then I don't think they're going to seal properly afterwards. And looking at a lot of woodworking websites, it seems like a lot of people are doing mason jars or ball jars. And I've got these two sizes, the whatever this is. Well, I don't know. It's a cup and a half or something. And the bigger ones here are, I think these are, what are they, quart? Anyway, I figure that's about the right size for one of these big ones, and the smaller one's about the right size for these little ones. And I want to make sure I stir them properly before I decant them into these other containers. So I made up this quick and dirty stirrer just out of a piece of 1/4-inch brass rod I had laying around, and then a piece of heavy brass. I just slotted the end of it with the bandsaw. Could have used a hacksaw. And cut this out, drilled some holes in it, slipped it in there, and hit it with some plumbing solder to hold it in place. It balances pretty well. It has fairly little vibration. And then I can chuck it up in my drill and go and stir it up before decanting it. And then when I do put it in the new can, I've got some of this Bloxygen product. What's that? CO2. It's actually argon, so it's totally inert, non-flammable. It's supposed to be heavier than oxygen, so when you squirt it in there, it's supposed to displace the oxygen or everything from the normal atmosphere that's on top of the liquid and push it out the top, and then you've just got the argon sitting in there, and then you close it up. And it won't react with anything, so it's supposed to be good for this, and I'll try it. If it doesn't work, then I'll have learned a lesson. Okay, I've got the lid mostly in place. I stick the nozzle of the Bloxygen in there and give it a couple seconds, and then quickly put the top on and seal it up. And that should be it. Looks like blood. One thing I like about the ball jars, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't get the wide mouth large jars. The small jars have bigger mouths on them than the large jars do, the way I bought them on Amazon. But when you pour out of the normal cans that the stain and varnish comes into, it almost immediately goes into the groove around the rim. So you're just about guaranteed to have a mess. I think there may be some gizmos you can buy that minimize that, but still. Here you just have a simple lip on the glass to pour it out into other containers for actual use. Little plastic cups and things like that. And it should be a lot easier to clean up after pouring. The only real downside to this I can immediately see is that it's not as easy to see what the stains are supposed to look like when they're just in bottles. But the Minwax, which is the brand I use, website has a nice chart that's real easy to just pull up and access, and I've decided to put a shortcut to it on the desktop of my computer, so anytime I'm doing a project I can just click on that and immediately see the colors and then figure out if I've got it down here in the basement or not. I keep my Bloxygen with the jars, and I've got room for more if I push some of my other chemicals and stuff away. I can also go a bit deeper without making it too hard to read. Another thing about this is it keeps them out of the UV. I talked to Minwax and they said, yeah, it's fine to store it in this kind of container. The Bloxygen's a good idea. They said the thing is that UV can degrade some of it, so you want to put it in a place where it doesn't get really any sunlight, or direct sunlight at least, and somewhere where it's not too warm. So this is about as cool as it gets in my house right here. So we'll see how that works out.